Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to NoDQ&A video right here on NoDQ.com, as well as the YouTube channel and NoDQ&A videos affiliate, ringsidenews.com. Got more of your questions from twitter.com/AaronRift. Now keep in mind that I am backed up with questions, but I am trying to get through as many of them as possible, so bear with me if I haven't gotten to your question yet. I'm also answering some of the questions directly on Twitter. Let's get started here with the first one today, which comes from Mr. DCD. Hey Aaron, what are your thoughts on John Cena interfering at WrestleMania 32 and turning heel by beating down The Undertaker and stealing the show? Please answer in video. I would be very surprised if that happened. I would be shocked if John Cena turned heel at WrestleMania 32. Let me just say that flat out. Whether it's interfering in The Undertaker's match or interfering in the main event. Do I like the idea? Yes. And if there's one positive about WWE being stubborn about Roman Reigns and wanting to continue pushing him as the new babyface top star of the company, the one positive is that the door is open to do a John Cena heel turn to feud with the babyface Roman Reigns, the guy who took John Cena's spot. They could even make a storyline out of that. The problem, the funny thing about the whole thing is if WWE turned John Cena heel against Roman Reigns, the fans would be cheering for John Cena, the guy that for years the fans were booing. Now he would be the guy that fans are cheering for against Reigns. So that's the one issue with that. But yeah, I'd like to see a John Cena heel turn, even though I think it should have been done years ago. Now with that being said, I do not see it happening at WrestleMania 32. But if it does, I will shave off the beard. Add that to the stipulations for WrestleMania. Alright, this one comes from DJ Witty. Yo Aaron, I like your idea on episode number 767, turning Reigns heel. But when you have to change his entrance and moveset and the Superman punch, please answer in video. Yeah, that's the other issue about turning Roman Reigns heel is one would think WWE would have to change up his moveset and change his entrance, and they just do not like change. They do not like having to take risks. If they find something that is somewhat successful, they will just run it into the ground as long as they possibly can. With Roman Reigns, they've been having him go out there with the Shield entrance, with the music and the gear, and he's been getting some good reactions, some bad ones, but they have not made any changes with him in terms of music and the whole look of his character. And I would be shocked if they did. I really think they should change his music, give him something more up to date. I've talked about this before. Even if he's staying as a babyface, just update his theme song. Like when Batista came into WWE, he had the instrumental song, and then they had Saliva do a new version of his theme song. Why not do the same thing with Roman Reigns? Give him a new entrance theme with lyrics. Just remix his song. I don't get why they haven't done that yet. Maybe that would give him a better reaction. Maybe the fans would cheer for him if he had a cool entrance song. Just an idea. Just throwing it out there. I'm not sure why WWE hasn't even considered doing something like that. Alright, this one comes from Darren Holding. Do you think it's harsh when Roman Reigns gets booed when it's not his fault how his storylines or promos are wrote? Please answer in video. I do think it's harsh when any performer gets hated on when it's not their fault. At the end of the day, they are just the performers. They are going out there and doing their jobs, which is to do whatever the company tells them to do. That's the bottom line. You cannot hate on Roman Reigns because he is being pushed as the top babyface. He will do whatever role the company asks for him. So if you're going to be mad at somebody, you should get mad at the company, and guys like Roman Reigns should not take it personally from fans because the fans are frustrated with the direction of the company, not with the actual person playing the role. So when you're hired to play a role, you play it. Some people are going to be happy with it, some are not. You just have to do that job and play that role to the best of your ability. That's really all you can do. Alright, this one comes from Just Josh. Could you see Triple H beating Roman Reigns at WrestleMania only to drop the belt to a returning babyface Seth Rollins? Please answer in video. That is always a possibility, and perhaps it may depend on how soon Seth Rollins returns from injury. I think if Seth Rollins is going to be back closer to SummerSlam, it's less likely. And even then, I still think it's a long shot. I think WWE is going to remain stubborn, and I would be very shocked if Roman Reigns does not leave WrestleMania 32 as the WWE Champion. That would really surprise me. I expect him to win the title as WWE has been planning, and wait and see what happens with Seth Rollins when he returns. Who knows what's going to happen with Rollins, if he's going to be a babyface or if WWE is going to keep him as a heel. Who knows? It may be too late. WWE may just drop the whole Triple H Seth Rollins feud, or maybe they will revisit it once Rollins is back from injury. But until they have a good idea on when he's back, there's no need for WWE to change their plans for WrestleMania because of Seth Rollins coming back sooner than later from injury. Alright, this one comes from RPA. Do you think that maybe Bray Wyatt is going to interfere, costing Lesnar the match against Ambrose at WrestleMania? Please answer in video. At this point, it's scheduled to be Bray Wyatt versus Brock Lesnar at the Roadblock special event on the WWE Network. Now, I expect Lesnar to win that match, which I'm sure will not thrill a lot of people. I could see the feud continuing between those two after WrestleMania, so with that being said, I could see that as a possibility for WrestleMania, where you have Bray Wyatt interfere and cost Brock Lesnar the match, and Dean Ambrose gets the win. Although I think I would prefer a clean finish rather than that, but I could see that being done as a way to give Ambrose the win while protecting Brock Lesnar. So I would definitely not rule out that scenario with Bray Wyatt interfering, and then you have the Brock Lesnar-Bray Wyatt feud continue after WrestleMania. Alright, this one comes from Penelo14. Do you see the Brock Lesnar and Dean Ambrose match ending similar to the Austin and Bret Hart match from WrestleMania 13? This, I think I would prefer over the Bray Wyatt interference. I could see WWE doing something like this because that is what they're doing with the Dean Ambrose character right now. Having him be the ultimate underdog who keeps getting beat down and then he keeps rising above, and he never says die. He's like Matt Hardy. Dean Ambrose will never die. And he's crazy, as WWE likes to call him. He's the lunatic. So I could see them doing something like this where Lesnar just beats the crap out of him and leaves him for dead, but Ambrose just keeps asking for more until he's just completely knocked out or passes out from the pain, and the referee stops the match. I could definitely see this happening, and if Ambrose is going to lose, I guess that's the best way to do it, is to have him just keep fighting and fighting and fighting until finally he just passes out, and that's the end of it. Alright, this one comes from Brett. Why can't the WWE swallow their pride and put Chyna in the Hall of Fame? It's criminal that she's not in. Please answer video. Two reasons. The first reason is, I think, personal issues between Chyna and Triple H and Stephanie. I'm sure there's still some hard feelings between the two sides because of what happened in real life. And the other reason is publicity. WWE does not want the negative publicity associated with Chyna, and if they were to announce her for the Hall of Fame, people would look her up on Google, and this is the WWE side of the story. They would look it up on Google, and the kids would see the Chyna porn, and WWE just doesn't want to go there. They would prefer to induct people into the Hall of Fame that they are on good terms with. And some people would say it's hypocritical because Mike Tyson's in the Hall of Fame, but what he did was over 2 decades ago, and he's been in WWE several times before he went into the Hall of Fame, and it didn't really hurt WWE all that much, and Tyson has more or less stayed out of the headlines. and he's a celebrity. With China, I could see WWE's attitude being that it's just not worth the time and effort to induct her. She's not that big of a name to the point where it's worth getting that negative publicity. Like the publicity you get from Mike Tyson, you know, there may be some negative publicity, but he's such a big celebrity that it can also help. Alright, this one comes from Dylan Falk. This might just be the worst build-up to Mania in a long time. Right, Aaron Rift? I gotta be in the ballpark here. It's definitely been one of the weaker build-ups at this point. Now, with that being said, there's still another month away until WrestleMania. WWE still has time to build up the card and get people invested in the matches. But yeah, usually WWE has a solid WrestleMania lineup set up by the Royal Rumble. And even in previous years, they would start the build-up as soon as Survivor Series, where they would start teasing matches and setting up WrestleMania matches. Like 2003, for instance, at Survivor Series, when you had Kane take out The Undertaker in that match against Mr. McMahon, and that set up Undertaker versus Kane. You also had Brock Lesnar and Goldberg in a backstage segment teasing the match for WrestleMania. So back in the day, you would have WWE building up matches 6 months in advance for WrestleMania, and sometimes even a year in advance. You know, like Hogan and Savage from WrestleMania 5. They spent over a year building up to that match. Alright, this one comes from Kayfabe Candy Ass. After that McMahon-tastic episode of Raw, do you think even if Shane wins, it will just lead to an on-screen drama with him and Steph? Yeah, I think that if Shane does win at WrestleMania, they will continue the Shane McMahon, Stephanie McMahon storyline, whether it's Shane running Raw and Stephanie and Triple H trying to win back control of Raw, or maybe WWE does a brand extension or an NXT invasion. I can definitely see the McMahon family storyline continuing, and it seems like every time ratings are down, WWE always has the McMahons appear on television more and more. And we saw this past week on Raw, Vince had his own promo segment, Stephanie had her own promo segment, and Shane's going to have his own segment on Raw this Monday. So yeah, I would expect the McMahons to continue having a presence on Raw, especially if the ratings continue to stay solid with this McMahon family storyline. Alright, this one comes from Eli Garcia. Hey Aaron, what are your thoughts on Y2AJ? I think they work well together, but Styles should be on his own. I like the team just because I think that they work better as a tag team than as singles, but that's just my opinion on it. I do like them as a team, but at the same time, I think I would rather see AJ go off on his own and have a singles run, maybe win a singles title, and there's lots of people on the roster I would like to see AJ against. I'm just tired of AJ and Y2J together. To me, it's time to move on to something else. Now, there's a lot of speculation that these guys are going to end up breaking up soon and they'll have another match at WrestleMania, even though they already had their rubber match. I would like to see AJ versus Kevin Owens at WrestleMania. That's just my opinion, and I know a lot of people agree with me on that. I just think there's other things. I want to see something different. I don't want to see the same thing over and over again. And that's a problem with WWE, and this goes back to earlier. They find something that has moderate success, and they just milk it. They run it into the ground. They have the same match take place over and over again, whether it's Sheamus versus Del Rio or Kalisto versus Del Rio, and now AJ versus Jericho, or Kevin Owens versus Dean Ambrose, or Kevin Owens versus Dolph Ziggler. They take these two guys and they just have them wrestle week after week after week. And I just like to see the storylines changed up. And if you're going to have two guys in a series of matches, then spread them out. Don't do it week after week after week. To me, it's just way too soon to do Jericho versus AJ again. If you're going to do that match, save it. And as a tag team, I think that it's okay for now, but I'd rather see AJ off on his own doing his own thing as a singles competitor. Alright, this one comes from Jared J. Smith. Hey Aaron, what is your favorite Austin and Rock moment? Mine is the funeral segment from Raw in 1999. I would have to say the beer truck segment on Raw, with Austin coming out and spraying The Rock and Vince down with the beer. To me, that's one of the all-time classic Raw segments. Actually, I think many would claim it to be the #1 segment of all time. It's definitely up there for me. And going back earlier to the beginning of their feud, when Austin took the IC belt and threw it into the river, that was another classic one. But yeah, just about everything they did was amazing. So it's hard to pick just one Austin and Rock segment because they were all so great. Alright, this one comes from Ty Marshall. Would it be better if Jericho turned heel at the Invasion pay-per-view and not Steve Austin? Absolutely. Really, turning anybody heel would have been better than turning Austin. Coming off of the episode of Raw, the Go Home Raw before that Invasion pay-per-view, the reaction Steve Austin got was just so loud and overwhelming. It was clear as day that the fans wanted to cheer for Steve Austin, and they were so happy that the heel Austin character was apparently no more, and he was back to being, as Vince put it, the old Stone Cold. So you would think WWE would have seen this and realized they made a mistake. They can just go back to the way things were before and let that be it. But this goes back to the whole Vince McMahon being stubborn thing. Or maybe it was Austin. I mean, you'd have to ask Austin. But 6 days later, Austin's back to being a heel. They turn him heel again after that babyface pop. I'm not really sure whose decision that was or why they went back to Austin as the heel. I'm not sure if Austin wanted to keep the heel run going, or if Vince felt that the Invasion needed a major angle and the Alliance needed a top heel. I'm not really sure what the motivation was, but to me, it was just going against what the fans wanted once again and just being stubborn and not listening to the audience. And in my opinion, it was a huge mistake to turn Austin back heel, and that was really the beginning of the end, in my opinion, for that whole Invasion storyline. Alright, this one comes from Lou E. Thoughts on Kurt Angle rebooting Team Angle with Gable and Jordan? Think it would be a great move to get them over on the main roster. Please answer in video. I like this idea. I would like to see Kurt Angle come back on a part-time basis and work with Team Angle, with Gable and Jordan. To me, that would be a very practical way to utilize Kurt Angle without having to put him at risk too much by having him work a normal schedule. You could have him be out there as the manager for Raw and SmackDown, and then every once in a while on a pay-per-view, you could put Kurt Angle in a match. To me, that would be a very good way to have Angle brought back to the company. But it's one of those situations where I'll believe it when I see it, and who knows if Angle would even be cleared to wrestle at all in WWE. There's still that big question about the testing and if Kurt Angle could pass a WWE physical even if it was just for one match. So who knows? Alright, that'll wrap it up for this edition of NoDQ&A video. Thanks as always for watching. I apologize if my voice is a little off today. I've been battling a cold, but the show must go on with NoDQ&A video. I don't want you guys to have to suffer with too much scoop and not enough NoDQ&A video, so made sure to get a video done today. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest regarding the Roadblock special as well as WrestleMania 32. And with that being said, I will see you guys next time for more NoDQ&A video.